Starting with roll call. You're doing that.
Just had to find it. All right, good morning. I'll call your name. Please let us know if you're here. Councilwoman Mandy Campbell, District Deputy Commissioner Deitchley, Councilperson Dwight Fish, Commissioner Fleming, Councilman Graham,
Here.
Commissioner Groninger,
Here.
Councilwoman Groninger,
Here.
Councilwoman Hammond, Councilman Grady Hicksonball, Mayor Phil Jenkins,
Here.
District Deputy Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Mayor James Mueller, Commissioner Kevin Overmeyer, Mayor Rod Robertson,
Here.
Councilman Mark Root,
Here.
Mayor Mark Center,
Here.
Mayor Jeremy Stutzman, Mayor Joseph Palmer, Commissioner Wyrick, and Mayor David Wood.
Here.
We have a quorum of members present. Commissioner Fleming, thank you. We, however, don't need to do virtual votes.
Okay. Minutes for approval from September 14th.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finance report, Deb?
Good morning. Our fiscal year to date expenses through the end of August is $1,400,176.90. And I just wanted to point out that we finally were able to purchase those ADA minivans for our service. So you will see a large expenditure in the equipment line item there for 6 minivans. Our cash balance at the end of August was $3,074,286.13. And our total cash disbursements for the month of August was $527,564.57. Are there any questions? If not, I'd like to ask for board approval of the August 22 financial report.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Secretary Mayor Wood?
No report from me.
No old business, James?
There's no business.
New business, starting with you.
Yes, so the first item that we have today is for a transit resolution. We have transit resolution 3122. This is an endorsement for section 5310. For those not familiar, 5310 provides transportation for either it's specialized transportation for individuals with disabilities or for seniors. And so Hubbard Hill is applying to the state for section 5310 for transportation for their senior residents versus their residents having to hire private transport. They are applying for 2 low-floor minivans and 2 16-passenger medium transit vans. You can see those informations in your packet. And this is an endorsement of the application. This is not necessarily awarding these funds. The state manages that process. And if the project is selected through the state's competitive process, then at a later date, we'll come back and add those projects into the transportation improvement program. Happy to answer any questions related to Resolution 3122. Otherwise, we would be asking for your approval of the resolution.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. The next resolution is Resolution 3222. You'll recall that we do this every 2 years. Well, actually, no, for safety, we do this every year, I believe. And this is, these are done annually for safety. And the Resolution 3222 is a resolution to support the 2023 safety performance measure targets for the state of Indiana. So you'll recall that under the federal transportation legislation, there are now performance measures, and these are established by the states in collaboration with organizations like MACOG. And we've had a very good working relationship with the state on these safety performance measures, where they collaborate with us and we work towards setting a statewide target. Now, we historically, and this board historically, has supported the targets established by the state. As if the state achieves those targets, there's a small celebration. We all say yay, as we've improved safety. If the state does not achieve these targets, then there is essentially some of their funding that is then has to be focused directly on enhanced safety projects. If the MPO, like MACOG, establishes a separate target, if we achieve it, there is a small yay. And if we don't, then we have to file a report saying why we didn't achieve it. But there is no incentive or there is no penalty for setting our own target. And so we've historically decided that it was best to support the state target. So for safety, the 2023 targets, they're based on a 5-year rolling average, and they're the number of fatalities, which would be 894.2, the rate of fatalities per 100 million miles traveled, which is 1.088, number of serious injuries, which is 3,348.1, the rate of serious injuries per 100 million miles traveled, which was 4.068, and the number of non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries, 399.6. I am happy to answer any questions related to Resolution 3222, but we are recommending as staff that we would support the state's target for 2023.
Question.
Yes.
Two questions, actually, James. Resolution 3322 is in two places, and one is 2024 and 2026. And this one is 2023. So
Yep.
just a little confused on why that exists. And two, can these be broken out, these targets by community?
Yeah. Happy to answer both of those questions, as it is a little confusing, and I even stumbled on it myself when presenting. So the reason that there are different years and different horizons for these targets is because that's what the federal rules say. So for safety, it is an annual target. So all of the safety ones are done annually. And so since I think 2016, we have resolutions and targets since 2016 for all of those annual targets for the state. The other items that are covered in Resolution 3322, they have a 2-year target, which represents a halfway point because they also have a 4-year target. So they have a 4-year target and then a 2-year target, and at the 2-year point, they can make changes to the 4-year. This is not exactly the most easy or universally accessible or friendly way to do this, but this is what the federal government has required for the targets. So that is why. When it comes to getting better localized performance measures, we are in the process of doing that for a number of different data points to provide community level information. We're not going to call them performance measure targets because we don't want to confuse our federal partners into thinking that we have established localized federal performance measures. We might, but we will be rolling out throughout the next year a number of different dashboards that we will have for safety and active transportation and a number of other different elements. So that is something that's actively being worked on.
Good. I know that we do warrants for stop signs, stop lights, and some of the other traffic signals on certain local roads. But it's just interesting to see whether or not this is consistent, would consistently integrate with how we do our warrants. I asked for a stop sign and we had to go through a warrant in order to determine whether or not the location of the intersection met a certain amount of warrants, which sort of kind of runs into this. That's why I asked.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 3322.
All right, 3322 is more performance measures. These performance measures are related to transportation assets that we'll cover first. And these resolutions we did in 2018 and 2021. So these are on that 2-year and 4-year cycle that we previously discussed. So Resolution 3322, the first item is related to pavement condition. These are pavement condition measures for 24 and 26. So it's a 2 and 4-year target. I am not going to read each one of these as they are on the screen, they are in the packet and on your agenda, but you can see that for each of the performance measures for pavement, there is an interstate pavement condition of good and an interstate pavement condition of poor. And then there is non-interstate NHS. NHS stands for the National Highway System. This is a designation that is across the country, that is not necessarily interstate, but it is part of the National Highway System. So that sometimes includes state facilities and even sometimes intermodal connectors to, say, airports. There are both conditions for good and poor, as well as then you see that then repeated for 24 and 26. So that's the pavement condition. We also then have bridge condition. Those performance measures are also for 24 and 26. These are across the National Highway System, and it's the bridge deck area that is in good condition and then poor condition. You can see this for 24 and for 26. Then the next item is for the NHS, which is the National Highway System, travel time reliability performance metric. This is the travel time reliability targets based on percent of person miles that are certified as reliable. This is for 24 and for 26. This is on the interstate portion of the NHS and then the non-interstate portion of the NHS. You can see that then there. The next item is for the interstate freight reliability performance metric, 24 and 26. For 24 and 26, you can see those truck travel time reliabilities on the interstate. And then the last one is the on-road mobile source emission performance measures for 24 and 26. These are related to volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, oxides of nitrogen, particulate matter that is less than 10 microns, and particulate matter that is less than 2.5 microns. You can see those targets for 24 and for 26. Happy to answer any of those questions. Again, what we are asking for and recommending as staff is that these have been developed in consultation with the state. These are state targets. We are encouraging that we adopt those state targets. And largely when you're looking at a number of these things, say like pavement condition that is on the interstate, well, the interstate in our region would be 80, 90. And so that's a very small percentage of our overall miles, as well as then when it comes to the NHS, you're talking about only a few facilities such as maybe US 30, US 31, and a few other state facilities. So these pavement conditions aren't necessarily looking at your local areas or even representative of all state facilities in our region. And so based on what the feds have required for those targets to be, this represents a very little amount of our overall roadway network in our region. And so that's why we have historically always supported the state target. But to Mayor Robertson's point, we are developing dashboards related to things like bridge condition and pavement condition, and we'll be continuing to roll those out so that folks can see what that looks like on a localized level. Happy to answer any questions related to Resolution 3322. But staff is recommending supporting those state targets.
Motion to approve? One question, just not that it's.
Yep.
Just notice the pavement condition and the bridge condition on the NHS roads and bridges actually goes down in 2026. It seems like you would want to constantly be getting better, right? Condition,
So the good condition on interstate goes from 60 to 62.
but on the NHS pavement, on the non-interstate.
It goes from 24 to 48. It probably has to do with what projects are programmed in what years based on timing. So that overall percentage is, a 2% change. And so again, if the state gets these projections wrong, there are penalties for, and so they are probably trying to predict what assets are, if I recall, what assets are aging at what rate, and then what projects they have programmed. And so maybe when you look at it for 28, you'll be at 52%. But for 26, because of a timing standpoint of when construction's occurring on some of those projects, you see a slight slip. So that's what I would largely infer from that, if I recall correctly.
I'd second David Wood.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Hey, James, where are these posted? Where are the results listed? Is it on the website, or is there a space where we can?
Yeah, the state has to report on these every 2 or 4 years, or in the safety ones every year. We could probably make sure that we can look at for November or December, having just a small recap of how those have gone over the years,
Oh, okay.
if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to just take a look and see where we are.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Sophia?
Good morning, everyone. I've been giving updates for the last few months about the Cdbg construction grant because there was a slight delay. Today, the update is that application is now open. So it's open for the Public Facilities Program, Blight Clearance Program, Stormwater Improvements Program, and Wastewater and Drinking Water Program. Initial proposals are due next week, October 21st. It is a little bit of a tight turnaround, but full applications are not due until December 22nd. If anyone is interested, please contact our office and we'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you. Morning, Caitlin.
Good morning. So this is kind of a placeholder slide announcing some of the USDOT grant opportunities. We've had a pretty busy month with 2 grants that we have talked about in the past being due. So the Rail Crossing Elimination Grant Program was due yesterday, and then the Reconnecting Communities Program has a deadline of Thursday. 2 upcoming grant opportunities include the Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements Grant. So this grant is intended to improve road safety, efficiency, and reliability. The city of Napanee was awarded in 2021 to do some improvements to their 7 at-grade crossings. Another program that's also happening is the Strengthening Mobility and Revolutioning Transportation Grant. It's kind of a pretty tailored grant, which is due in November. It provides funding for demonstration projects focused on smart community technologies and systems. And so those are 2 that are coming up, and we'll keep this updated as more notices of funding come out.
At this point, I do want to make sure that everyone's aware and to say thank you, because there are a large number of discretionary grants that are being rolled out every day from USDOT that are coming out of the new transportation bill. This last month, Allison and Caitlin predominantly, others have been involved, and so I don't want to leave anyone out, but Allie and Caitlin have been leading the charge on helping us submit as MACOG for the SS4A, the Safe Streets for All program that we submitted an application for a region-wide safety plan, as well as then just yesterday, submitted the railroad crossing elimination grant for $20 million, roughly, for trying to fund the gap for Sunnyside and for the Hively Avenue grade separation projects as a combined application under MACOG. And so that has been an all-consuming and large lift. And I just want to be able to thank them for all of their time focused on that. And I am very excited about the competitive nature of both of those applications.
Thank you, James.
All right, and then another quick update for the Michiana on the Move 2050 Transportation Plan. This month, we're rolling out kind of the public engagement piece for our long-range plan. So we'll have a website, move.macog.com, that's going live with a public survey as well as a comment map where we can collect the public's thoughts on needs and wants for our transportation network in the future. I guess my request of you as well as your staff is, as we're looking for opportunities to kind of engage the public, if you have opportunities for us to join your events or things in your community that would be a good fit for us to come talk about this plan, we'd much appreciate that in seeking as much input as we can throughout the process.
Thank you. Allison?
Good morning. So as an MPO, we are required to produce an annual listing of obligated projects, or ALOP, every fiscal year. And we are required to produce this within 90 days of the end of the state fiscal year. So the state fiscal year ended in June, so we had until September to produce this report. And this report primarily looks at fiscal year 2022, and it compares what was programmed into the TIP and also what was actually obligated. So a comparison of what was programmed versus what was actually dedicated to that project. And we do this for state, local, and transit projects within our region, as well as MACOG-sponsored projects. So this listing has been published and it's available on our website. If you go to our transportation page and go to the tip page and scroll to the very bottom under the ALOP section, if you click on Quick View under the state fiscal year 2022, you'll find this listing. So this was the only requirement of us in terms of ALOP, but we do like to go a step further, and we will tend to put out a detailed report. So this report will go beyond the listing in that it will analyze some of the obligations. So it will show normally a breakdown of funding by county, and then it will also compare the funding types used as well as the different project types that received funding, primarily looking at fiscal year 2022. So this report is still in progress. We're working on finalizing it and hoping to have this available next month to share with you all. But really just wanted to make you aware of where we're at in this process and direct you to our website if you want to access that. So any questions about that? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Leah.
Morning. Update on the EPA clean school bus funding opportunities. We expect shortly, it was supposed to be last month, but an announcement of the initial selection of those. Wani schools, Penn Harris Madison, Culver, and Argus all applied. All of those were for electric, except for Wani, which was for propane. And the city of South Bend will be receiving their first delivery of 2 electric school buses, hopefully this month. So if anyone wants to experience those firsthand, that'll be an opportunity coming up shortly. And then next fiscal year, EPA will be announcing another round of additional funding that'll be available. So if you'd like to speak with any of these schools, especially South Bend as they receive theirs, so that you can be prepared to think about applying in future rounds. So hopefully that'll be announced within the next few weeks. Another update on the Brownfields assessment grant. We received an additional $500,000 this year on top of the $600,000 that we have spent over the last 3 years. And we just went through our procurement process and selected Metric Environmental with their subcontractor Roberts Environmental and Revitalized Communities out of Chicago. Roberts is out of the Goshen area. So there was a pretty competitive process. We were pleased to have 5 firms that submitted proposals to us, and we're looking forward to working with Metric. And we have a lot on our plate, so a lot of good projects happening.
Leah?
Yeah.
Does the application for electric school buses come through the community school system, or will that go through us?
That would be the schools, but you may have an interest in working with the schools to make them aware of this opportunity if they're not already. There's not any direct financial obligation or anything, but it'll benefit your residents. Cleaner
Okay.
air for the.
And how does that get to them?
How does the
The grant opportunity get?
I'm happy to send information to them directly. We contract with Drive Clean Indiana, the designated Clean Cities Coalition, and they helped each of those schools submit their applications. So there's no cost technical assistance available through us.
No problem. Just wanting to make sure we're getting the information to them.
And then we can also help with identifying training opportunities for drivers, for maintenance techs, for getting people prepared to implement this funding opportunity.
All right, thanks.
So, yep.
Thanks, Leah. Tiara?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So yes, on Thursday, October 6th, MACOG issued its Section 5310 call for projects for the South Bend urbanized area. This program offers federal funding to support the securing of vehicles for private not-for-profit organizations and authorized units of local government who provide transportation to seniors and individuals with disabilities within the South Bend urbanized area. For this call, we use fiscal year 2019 and fiscal year 20 Section 5310 funds from the South Bend urbanized area, which totals approximately about $491,351. The applications for the call are currently available on the MACOG website or by contacting MACOG directly, and they are due on Thursday, November 10th. In addition to this, for those who are interested in applying, we also are holding an informational meeting session, which will be held in person at the MACOG office or virtually on Thursday, October 20th at 11 a.m. And we've posted all that on our website as well. So.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and just to clarify, I mean, Tara mentioned it, but it is for the South Bend urbanized area. So for those thinking about that, that's South Bend, Mishawaka, as well as then kind of the urban parts of St. Joseph County. So that's pretty much everything kind of north of the bypass, if you will, as a rough delineator. The important differentiation here is that, say, the application that we looked at the beginning of the agenda, everything that happens in Elkhart County, Marshall County, and Marshall and Kosciuszko County, those all have to go through the state's application process. Whereas really anything within the South Bend Urban and the rest of St. Joe County will come through our organization. That's not our rules, that's the state and federal. We would love to manage it for all 4 of our counties, but we only manage it for the St. Joseph County portion. So just an FYI.
Thank you. Privilege of the floor.
One item that wasn't on the agenda, but I do want to make sure that all board members are aware. I know board members that neighbor these highways are definitely aware, but NDOT is working through what they are calling PRO-PEL, which is the PEL study for the US 30 and US 31 corridors. So those have started and are moving forward. Still not a whole lot of information to share, but there is a public survey that is out there right now asking for residents and for the motoring public to respond about their thoughts related to the highways. And so for those, we want to make sure that everyone's aware that that's ongoing. Wasn't sure if anyone wanted to talk through anything else, but wanted to make sure that the board was aware that those PEL studies are moving forward.
Hey, James, I know that, well, you were there, but Kosciuszko County and the city of Warsaw's already had their meeting with the consultants down there. So, I mean, thought it was a good meeting and seemed like they were listening. So.
Thank you. Public comments. And number 9. Adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Easy peasy.